I have no choice. If I want to keep my old plastics, I have no choice but to put everything from this scooter inside this scooter. Which means I don't think I'll be able to have an extra fuel tank. But that's alright, I can still do this swap. It's pretty much hasn't changed anything. Plans are just back to normal. I think that's the plan for me today. Or not today, but eventually. To swap this into that. I have to dump this engine out. But, yep, that's what's got to happen. Out with the old, in with the new. I'll do two hands. In with the new. Update. Oh, what a good swap. That's the 125 or 200i Kymco. And that's the 150R Noodoe. Or S, I don't know. Straight swap. Straight in. Not a single problem. Look at that. Straight in. Nice. Actually, I'm going to start documenting everything from now on. Alright, so I put this 150S inside my 200i, that one there. Now, I've realised that this head stem is that much bigger than that one. So when I put the 150 suspension inside the 200i, there was a gap. Now, I think if you take this apart and put spacers in here, nah, I don't think so. Maybe you could make spacers for this so it makes it tighter, because there's a bit of wriggle room inside this one. Like, let's get the tape out. Alright. So this head stem is 280, alright? But this head stem huh? 260, 20 millimeter difference. So to put the 150 inside the 200, you need to have 20 millimeter of spacers, or I think, now, if I get this suspension and put it inside the 200 and lower it by 20 millimeters, I think that will work. But let's find out. Okay, you cannot swap the forks. They do not line up. That's a shame. They're so similar. So similar, but different. Alright. Let's Alright, this is my next attempt. This is the 150 and this is the 200i. So I'm going to see if I can put this bracket onto the 150 brake. Alright, update. So I can get this to work. Alright. That is the front wheel. And it will work if I get This, hang on. Alright, there it is. That works with the 150 wheel. However, the ABS won't work because it's not gripping on anything. So it's just freely spinning. So I think I have to go on the internet and find one of these stems that are exactly the same as this one, but shorter stem. Same clamp, shorter stem. Okay, update. So, I'm going to go to a metal shop, like an engineer, and I'm going to get these, but longer. Maybe here to like here. So that is the update. Once that's done, that will go straight in there and I won't have a problem. The only thing stopping the swap that into the 200i is the length. These are not low enough. Other than that, it all works. And I actually got, shit. I actually got the 200i suspension to work on this bike. There you go. That's the 200i. All I had to do was swap this brake bracket. However, this ABS doesn't work. It just spins. So if I have a non-ABS version, but since I have ABS, so I have to figure that out. Alright, this is me from the future. It was a perfect fit, and it still is. However, there was one problem. Alright, so this is me from the future again. So let's talk about it. So this is the steering stem from the 200i. Because my steering stem from the 150 is in the engineering shop right now. But the difference is the 150i R or S, whatever, it's 20 millimeters longer. So it actually ends about here. So this thread is too high. So I brought it to a shop and they're going to make more thread down lower on the other steering stem.